the Buddha said that only in his teachings, Dhamma Vinaya dispensation, there are these true Samanas who have extinguished kilesas. Other teachings, other systems of teachings are void of Samanas who have extinguished kilesas. And after he said that, he talked about the endurance of sadhana, so the sadhana will endure for a long time. How to prolong this sadhana so that samanas will arise continuously and develop continuously. So too with sadhana, so that sadhana may continue for a long time and develop for a long time. Endurance means to exist as it is. That means standing still, not to decline. Now in doing so, this one has to possess this correct method. One has got to understand the correct method of practice, undertake that practice according to the correct method, and then gaining the benefits of the method or the practice and applying what you have gained as and when occasion arises. And over and above this ordinary endurance, one should be able to develop it, enhance it, so that it is uplifted, it is developed more and more. It's given by this Bodhi, Virodhi, and Vipula. This, so Buddha has given his monks whoever wishes to cultivate wholesome things should not cause the sadhana to decline. He doesn't even praise, Buddha doesn't even praise mere endurance of sadhana. That means as standing as it is, neither progressing nor declining. Not to mention the decline of his sadhana. He only praised the progress of sadhana by cultivating wholesome deeds day by day, so that sadhana will develop abundantly. So, in this Dhamma Vinaya, in order to gain this Dhamma Vinaya, he had practiced all along his lifetimes, war cycles, through many lifetimes and war cycles, to practice the spiritual perfections, paramis, beginning with the perfection of generosity. And it is up to the Buddhists, it is a responsibility of the Buddhists to sustain it. And whether we are sustaining or not should be examined. We should examine ourselves whether we are doing our duty in sustaining the Buddha Sadhana to a satisfactory stage. Or is it stagnating? Buddha doesn't praise stagnation, mere endurance. So what does the Buddha praise? The Buddha praise the development of sadhana, not the stagnation, not just mere endurance, let alone declining. So it must progress and develop. Understanding this, it is a duty of all of us to do all we can to develop, to cultivate ourselves, to develop this sadhana and exhort others around us, our community, who are close to us, to cultivate themselves in order to enhance the Buddha Sadhana. And if one is going to exhort others, one should set as an example, should be a role model. Then only one will be able to exhort others, so that we will be able to live with happiness all along rounds of birth and rebirth existence, samsara. So it is our duty. That means whoever cherishes this sasana, are willing to develop sasana, should be able to sustain this generation, present generation, and not only just sustain it, improve it so that it will be better and better, and also cultivate future generations. So Buddha has said, given the best method to enhance the dispensation sasana, not only just to sustain it so that it endures, in this way, that if these 12 samanas who possess true knowledge can live rightly, if they live rightly, then the world will not be void of arahants. At this point, this expression, samaviharayo, needs to be explained. How does one live rightly? Is it that, by this expression, living rightly, is it that, does it mean that one should just practice meditation, cultivate oneself, and live peacefully, not bothering others, not doing anything else for others? Not so. The reason is that not only one should cultivate oneself, one should also do something for others, help cultivate others. If one is good and others are not good, then how can one live peacefully and happily? Just try to cultivate yourself, and if you're the only person who is cultivated, and if the society is not improved or cultivated, then how can the world be peaceful? So, first of all, one must cultivate oneself, and to make sure that one is already cultivated, cultured, then one can do for the welfare of others. So one must serve as a role model, then only we'll be able to cultivate others, beginning with those who are close to you. Just by living peacefully by oneself, with one's own practice, one will not be able to cause ariyas to arise in the world, let alone the rising of the final path consciousness, the arahants. Only when one is able to develop by oneself this Eightfold Path and preach the Dhamma or transmit those methods of practice of Eightfold Path to others and let others develop, then only we will be able to cause these ariyas to rise continuously in the world, and the world will not be void of the arahants. Hence, it is quite reasonable that the Atthakatas, the commentarians, have given these 12 samanas. This expression, samaviharayo, if one lives rightly. Let us say one practices to attain the first path, become Sotapanna, then one should be able to relay or transmit one's method of practice and experiences to others, beginning with those who are close to you, and cause others to become Sotapanna, realize the first path. And if one is able to do that, one is said to be living rightly, samaviharayo. Samaviharayo, not only living rightly means behaving or acting, performing rightly. This, the commands by the commentarians are very clear-cut and are very obvious, in that if one becomes a Sotapanna, one should be able to transmit or relay one's experience and the method of practice to others, so that they will take interest in it and undertake the practice. Not to boast or brag about it, and one should be very careful, especially the monks, not to appear so. One should be able to practice, to relay the method of practice in a very discreet manner, and not to let them know, not in a very obvious way to amount to bragging or boasting, but to not to let him know, without letting him know, or letting others know, that you have become Sarapana. This is also very important. That's what it means by discreetly. One should be able to relay such a message about the practice of the way of mindfulness or Eightfold Path. And when we relay or transmit, the practice means not other things, but only the Eightfold Path, the method of the practice of the Eightfold Path. As has been explained, that whoever practices to satisfactory stage, the four foundations of mindfulness, one is said to be practicing the noble path of eight constituents, as given by the expression Samana, leading to the cessation, rightly leading to the cessation of sufferings. If one is able to practice one of the four foundations of mindfulness, which suits one most, then one is said to be practicing the noble path of eight constituents, as is given by this expression Samana, leading rightly to the cessation of suffering. And relaying this message or transmitting means to talk about the method of practice of Eightfold Path. 100% of the suffering in the world has its root cause in kilesas, the impurities, corruptions, whatever you come across, suffering you come across, you endure, has a cause in kilesas. And one has got to reveal that, one has got to talk about that when transmitting your experience to another or others. Everybody is afraid of suffering. One has got to talk like that. Then, what are the causes of this suffering? Causes are so and so, in this way. Such as, the main cause is avijja, ignorance, not simple unknowing and knowing wrongly, leading to craving and grasping or clinging, craving about existence, craving about desirable objects, and clinging, view clinging, sensuous clinging, and due to karma vadas, the round of karma, round of kilesas, that means doing kilesas over and over again to revolve around like a cycle. If one is doing rightly or correctly, doing, say, kusala, wholesome deeds of existence, then one may be reborn in Deva, human world. But even if one is born in these Deva and human worlds, one will not be free from the existential suffering of old age, disease and death. Unless you become a Riya, a noble, attained person, you may be making mistakes, committing offenses, and as much as you commit offenses, you are bound to fall down into the inferior states, especially the apaya sufferings. So, if your attention is not correct, then you may be committing unwholesome deeds by body, speech and mind, immoral deeds, thus leading you to fall into the inferior states, which is worse than this ordinary superior states. Because once you fall down into inferior existences, it will be very difficult to come up again, to be reborn in the better existences. And if one makes mistakes, one is bound to suffer the grave consequences leading to suffering, and this has to be revealed and transmitted. Because if one is afraid of suffering, then one should be able to strive to be free from this samsaric suffering of old age, disease and death, especially the apaya-related suffering which will cause you to fall down into the states of loss. So, we have to talk about the method of freedom or liberation from the round of existence, the round of kilesa, which is made up of avijjatana, upadana, ignorance, craving and grasping. So the kind of avijja, of two kinds, simple unknowing and knowing wrongly, has to be explained, because this avijja can lead to craving and then grasping. And grasping can be of two kinds, view grasping and sensuous grasping. Once you know the truth, then there will be no ignorance, no unknowing. And if there's unknowing, only when in the unknowing you cling, in the knowing you abandon. So, in the unknowing you will crave and grasp. In the knowing you will not grasp, you will abandon. Then you will be able to overcome this kilesa vata, the round of defilements. It is due to these kilesas that these things, the suffering, can arise. So one has got to explain that. And the assurance to be free from this round of defilement is the practice of Satipatthana Bhavana. Just try it, you will come to know what are the benefits of the practice. So in this way, we got to explain that also that in one moment of mindfulness, the three trainings are involved, namely Sila Samadhi Panya, the training of morality, concentration and wisdom. And with the practice, with the sustaining of Sila, taking the vows of precepts, one is able to overcome the obsessive, the transgressive gross forms or coarse forms of impurities. And with the practice of the concentration group, Pariyasati Samadhi, one will be able to overcome obsessive defilements, impurities which can arise in the mind. And if one is able to cultivate insight knowledge, beginning with the discernment of mind and body, progressing along the paths through the stages of insight, then one will be able to overcome the latent tendencies of impurities. So, one has to explain how one is able to overcome all these things. For one moment of noting, mindfulness, one will be able to overcome for one moment. And if 2 moments of mindfulness, 2 times or 10 moments of noting mindfulness, will be able to come 10 times of these categories, 3 categories of defilements. So, if we are able to practice and progress along the path, then there will be no kilesas. Kilesas will not have a chance to arise in the stream of consciousness. Thus, you will be weakening these impurities until go on weakening with the Vipassana practice until you are able to reach the path of consciousness. Then you will eradicate the relevant kilesas to the point of no return. If you are able to do the first stage, you become the first path, realize the first path, you will be only existing, reborn in the Deva and human worlds, not more than 7 existences. Thus, you are said to be shortening your length of existences. And you will not fall into the states of loss. You will be free from falling into the dangerous suffering as a result suffering of apaya, states of loss. And you will only exist in the human, you come to existence in the human and Deva world, not more than 7 existences, thus shortening your suffering of existential suffering of old age, disease and death. You are much relieved in that respect. In this way, you have to convince others, exhort them. And while exhorting them, you have to set as an example in terms of both theoretical and practical aspects. Then only it will be proper and will succeed. Now, after you have said this, such as transmitting one's own experience about the correct method of practice and how to undertake the practice to those in your community, beginning with those who are close to you, as regards the Eightfold Path, how to practice it, and you have to exhort others to undertake the practice. And make them practice Vipassana and also exhort them to actually undertake it. And if one is able to do that, and cause another or other person to become Sotapanna, then the first Sotapanna is said to be living rightly by being able to cause the world not to be void of Ariyas and Arhants. In this way, there will be the generation of Ariyas, the attained ones. In short, if the first Sotapanna is causing another Sotapanna, a new Sotapanna to arise in the world, then one is said to be living rightly, not just to be liberated on one's own, by one's own. One should be able to cause the generation of Sotapannas, the first path, leading to also the generation of Sagaragami, second path, third path, and the final path, so that the world will not be void of the Arahants or Ariyas, and the generation of Arahants also will go on. In order that the generation of Ariyas, noble ones, ordained ones, will continue, one has to start with the Arada Virya, Vipassana. Undertake the practice to begin with, then building up momentum with the exertion of energy, such as Paripurna, Pekahida Virya, uplifting energy, leading to fulfilling energy, Paripurna Virya, at least reaching the fitting momentary nature of experience, Surya Jnana. That is how one has got to start with, as Arada Vipassana. And one must nurture and bring about this Kalyana Maida Yogi, then the first path, Sotapanna, then the second path, Sagaragami, and nurture and let develop the Anagami, the third path, and the final path, consciousness, Arahants. And if one Sotapanna can cause another Sotapanna, a new one to arise, then the world will not be void of Ariyas. In this way, there will be the generation of Sotapannas. So too with the Sagaragami, the second path. If the second path person, the person who has realized the second path, can cause another Sagaragami to arise, then there will be the generation of Sagaragami which will continue and will not be void of it. In this way, the commentarians have explained. And there is this scientific method of developing such as the trees and animals try to, put one tree with another one. I forgot the actual name, but also animals. You produce animals by combining two things, or the genetic thing. With genetic science, the scientists are trying or doing nurturing, bringing about new varieties of trees and animals, and in their own rights they are successful, but they are good as long as it is for the benefit, if it benefits human beings. But not so in the realm of Dhamma, in the sphere of Dhamma. One cannot do such a genetic process in the Dhamma, in the practice. Putting one thing, taking out another, and things like that. As has been given by the Buddha as Kevala Paripurna. The Dhamma, his teachings are full, are complete in all aspects. And there's no deficiency, no excess, and you don't have to add anything more. It is as simple as that expression, namely, guard yourself with vigilant mindfulness of every arising. Quite clear and simple, being grounded in the basic moral conduct, sila. One has got to practice with the full exertion of mental powers, exert energy through the stages of Viriya, different stages of energy. And if you are able to exert your energy, then this mindfulness is bound to be activated automatically, leading to the stillness of mind, intensifying your concentration, and as much as you are able to be concurrent with the object noted, you are bound to see the true nature of these objects noted from the basics. This is as simple as that. So, just like in modern science, just like you do in scientific experiments, if you add things or take out something, then you're going to jeopardize, upset the system. So that Satipatthana will become half-caste Satipatthana, half-breed Satipatthana, and half-breed or half-bred Eightfold Path. And then it will not be pure one. As much as you are doing this, it is being done in this country also, and they are doing it, and also this country with the scientific method, adding this, adding that, taking out, and things like that, improving, that sort of thing. So then, the sasana will not be pure anymore. It will be adulterated sasana. And to just admit, confess, and then in the beginning of the practice, you like taking your cold brown bread, because usually brown bread is taken as it is without heating it up, or without cheese, or without any meat or butter or anything, just simple, mere brown bread. Now, in the beginning, you may not be able to relish or enjoy this cold brown bread without any additions. But if you are hungry, you grab it, because knowing the quality of the brown bread, that the brown bread has the nutrients, and so long as you chew it properly, you are bound to experience the quality of this brown bread, because it has nutrients in it. And you'll be able to realize this by your own experience, the spectacular taste of the brown bread. So this Satipatthana is like the cold brown bread, without any additives, without any cheese or butter or meat, but it is good as it is. Just try to practice just like you chew brown bread in order to digest it and get the benefit of the nutriments in terms of nutriments. So too, try to digest this Satipatthana by noting every arising, beginning with the main object of rising and falling, giving attention to the objects to be noted. Then, so long as you are able to digest it, note it properly, meticulously, then you are bound to realize the spectacular results. And even if you are not reaching the stage of the ultimate position of Nibbana, at least in the course of the practice, by cultivating your mind and insight, you'll be able to realize the kind of happiness which is good in itself, as it is, on its own, and something which you don't want to let go, you don't want to forsake. So, something which is good in itself, by itself, without any additions, means something special, spectacular, because people go for variety. In this case, there is no variety. It is just good in itself. It is in a single state. You cannot find this outside of Satipatthana. So if it's just good in itself, it must be something commendable. So something unforeseeable, which doesn't exist outside of Satipatthana. Although in the beginning of the practice, you may be thinking, oh, it's just cold brown bread, what's the use of it? But chew it properly, So to practice Satipatthana meticulously, with attention, you are bound to realize spectacular results, and this you will be able to realize happiness which is unforgettable. If you are hungry, everything is good enough. Everything is tasty, even this cold brown bread. So you have to think in that terms. So if you are Dhamma hungry, you will try to practice Dhamma. Then, after practice the Dhamma, you come to experience or feel the Dhamma quality, Dhamma flavor in a spectacular way. So during the time left, following days, few days which is left in this retreat, you may be able to practice with zeal, respectfully, carefully, attentively, being hungry, being Dhamma hungry, may be able to practice like even this Satipatthana, which is like a brown bread, which is good in itself, unforgettable, bringing about unforgettable happiness, and be able to realize spectacular results from the practice.